Hello everybody and welcome to the inauguration function of 10th Asian Metallurgy and of course Steel and Metal Expo also. I welcome the dignitaries who are with us for this inauguration function. First, Mr. L. Pugazanti. Mr. Pugazanti is the past president of Indian Institute of Metals and now executive director of Indian Great Zinc Development Association. Welcome, Mr. Pugazanti, and we would like to hear from you the present status of lead zinc industry also and metallurgical industry in general also. Welcome to this inauguration function. Then we have with us Dr. A.K. Chattopadhyay. Dr. A.K. Chattopadhyay has a long career in Tata Refractories. He was MD of Tata Refractories and now he is a senior consultant and consulting and advising many companies related to refractories and steel industry. Welcome, Dr. Chattopadhyay. We would like to hear from you about the raw material industry.
Good morning.
Yeah, good morning. We would like to, sir, hear from you the raw material industry, which is expected to support the steel industry and facilitate its growth. And now I think Mr. V.R. Sharma is also joining. Sharma Sahab, good morning. आपका स्क्रीन थोड़ा रोटेट करो. हाँ, this is how.
Yeah.
Good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Sharma ji.
We have
Good
just
morning.
started, sir. And
Good morning. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Inauguration function.
Good morning, Sharma ji. Good morning.
Namaskar. How are you?
Sharma ji,
sir?
good morning.
Absolutely, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, so-
Namaskar.
So I have already introduced Dr. Chattopadhyay and Mr. Pugazanti. Mr. Sharma also doesn't need any introduction in steel and metal industry. He is managing director of Jindal Steel and Power Limited and a very veteran personality in the steel industry. Sharma ji, we would like to hear from you the present status of steel industry and where it is heading. How long the growth will continue. All these questions we have in mind, and we will definitely seek answers of these questions from you. And so meanwhile, we are now in the inauguration function of 10th Asian Metallurgy and Steel and Metal Expo, which is being organized online. Let me give a brief history of this show. We have started this show in 1996. Then that time it was only a steel conference and a steel exhibition. Later on, we added a non-ferrous part also, and we made it a name like Asian Metallurgy. That time also we thought that the emphasis of manufacturing industries will slowly come to Asia, and that is how we gave a title. We gave Asian in the title. So we know that Asia is going to be the growth engine of the world economy. So that is how we have given this title as 10th Asian Metallurgy way back in 1998. We did some shows in Nehru Center, Mumbai. But then by that time, the Nehru Center space was little, it was not enough for the number of talks we had and the conferences we were conducting. So,
Able to hear that.
Sharma Samana. So, what I mean to say is, so that is how we shifted to NSC Goregaon, and this show happened for it was a biannual show. What happened once in 2 years. It comprised. Just a minute, there is some sound coming. Okay.
I think some procession is there.
Yeah. I think now it is okay. So this is how this show developed, and then we did lot of editions of this show. Every 2 years we did, but of course due to pandemic, last 2 years or so, all this was stalled. And last year, of course, we did not do. We did it in 2018 in Raipur, and then of course, as you know, pandemic has taught us many things. One of them is going towards digitalization, and I feel this digitalization process is not something which you can call off when once the pandemic is over. I think this is a irreversible process which has happened to our mindsets. So I feel that even if the pandemic goes, I'm sure it will go one day, and it is going as all signs are showing us. So even if the pandemic is no more there, this digitalization process will not be reversed. And I feel that this the digital platform. So we have brought our magazines on digital platform. We have brought these events, conferences, and exhibitions on this digital platform. I feel all this will remain with the, of course, with the support of the industry, and that depends on the mindset of the industry as well. So how acceptable it is and how much penetrating it is in the industry. So all these factors are there. So as regards this show, Steel and Metal Expo and 10th Asian Metallurgy, we have we have hired an external agency for promoting this show worldwide. We have hired agency. We have scanned this promotion process through social media and through digital platform has also become very systematic, and there is a definite SOP to do this promotion. And we have engaged these agencies, even for other countries, we have engaged some other agencies, and then we have done this promotion exercise very systematically, country wise, region wise, industry wise. So I feel that if we use this digital platform as it should be used in a systematic way, it can give you huge penetration in the industry across the globe. So to that extent, I feel this is a vital advantage of these digital shows over the physical shows happening in one ground. कितना भी आप whatever you say international global, but when it is on some ground in some location at some location, it essentially becomes a local show. Most of the visitors, आप कितना भी international बोलो, but most of the visitors tend to be local. But in a digital platform, on a digital platform, the show can really become international. The show can really become global. So this is a tremendous potential. This is tremendous potential of digital format, and I feel we can explore it. We can exploit it to our advantage, to the advantage of the industry. And with this motive only, we have we have shifted all our activities on digital platform, including our magazines, our conferences, and now our exhibitions. So with that, I again welcome all who are viewing this. This is being that also I can share. This is being shared on Facebook Live of Steel World Magazine. This is being shared on Facebook Live of Metal World Magazine, and also this is being shared in the exhibition Steel and Metal Expo. So we have different channels from where the people can view us. So this is also one of the great advantages of this digital medium, that you are seen by anywhere, from anybody from anywhere. So this is a very big advantage of the social media. Again, I am emphasizing maybe, but this is a very big advantage of social media, which we are trying to exploit for the benefit of the Indian industry. So I again welcome all the dignitaries who have joined us for the inauguration function, and who have been supporting our various ventures in the past. And I first request Mr. Pugasanti to express a few words and express his opinion about the current status of the metallurgical industry. He has been past president of Indian Institute of Metals. Now he has been leading the Lead and Zinc Development Association in India. So, Mr. Pugusanti, please.
Thank you very much, Chandekar Saab. First and foremost, am I audible clearly and visible
Yes.
also?
Yes, you
Okay.
are. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your opening remarks, introducing about the event Asian Metallurgy. I know you have been doing this regularly, and I was also there in your Asian Metallurgy earlier edition in Nehru Science Center in Mumbai. That was quite some years ago.
Yes.
And as you know, today we have all the three guest speakers, me, my distinguished friend Sharma ji, Dr. Chattopadhyay. We are all from the industry. And you were also in the steel industry. I'm very much aware of that. But what we all admire you, Chandekar Saab, in you, for the last 25 years, you have been giving enormous media support, publicity support to the metals industry, steel industry, non-ferrous industry, imports, consumables. You have been doing so many activities, apart from your Metal World and Steel World magazine, which are very recognized and well accepted in the industry. And you have also been doing events on aluminum, Foundry Summit, aluminum extrusion in Dubai. We all know that. We recognize your contributions very much, bringing the industry together. And today I'm very delighted to be here at this inaugural session, Asian Metallurgy, with a focus on steel and non-ferrous metals. And then for the next 4 days, I think you have got events on steel and its future, aluminum and emerging markets. Very important area for India from the point of sustainable development, recycling. We're going to be devoting 1 day for recycling. And the last day is perhaps on digitization.
Yes, yes.
You did mention about digitization, that we are all transacting in a digital way currently. And you did say whether in future we will continue this. Let me tell you, we were all having video conference calls earlier also, businesses from Canada to India, Australia to other countries. So we were all transacting through digital way in a small way. Head office talking to the regional guys through video conference. That was also there. Sharma ji talking to his plant people in a video conferencing mode. It was there earlier also. But digitization reached its peak during the COVID pandemic period. And we have been calling this as a new norm. But let me tell you, this is going to be the regular norm in the coming years. You can save money, you can save time, traveling, hotel, all kinds of things happen. You're conserving so much of time and energy and financial resources, but our productivity has gone up. Let me tell you, the whole world has been working from home during the last 20 months. But with the result, the output from each individual, man productivity per man hour has gone up. You're saving your time going to the office or factory, returning home, etc. So digitization has brought enormous benefit, instant results, instant decisions, and then saving lot of resources. So that way, I think digitization is going to be there as a regular future. Now, coming to your event, Asian Metallurgy, wonderful theme there, Asian Metallurgy. And India is always known for its ancient metallurgy. Metals are not new, metals are prehistoric. In history, you read about Iron Age, Bronze Age, all these you read about them. So bronze was used time immemorial, iron also, and talking about steel industry, Tata Iron Steel and Company, that was the old name, Tisco. They made the first gram of back in Jamshedpur, more than 100 years back. So India made steel long time ago. And when India started making steel, the great man, Sir Winston Churchill said, knowingly or unknowingly, if India makes steel, I'll eat them. But fortunately, later he had to eat his own words. Because today India is the second largest steel producer in the world as per WSA after China. So we are now number 2, though the gap between China and India production-wise is so huge, but there are many other factors. How China achieved, why India could not achieve that many of our aluminum companies are having 1 million ton capacity, 0.5 million, 0.85 million tons capacity. And aluminum is a common man's metal. Like steel is there as an engineering construction material used everywhere. And aluminum is another metal which is now coming as number 2 among the metals. Then you have zinc, coated steel, galvanized steel in all kinds of forms. Copper in electricity, power, transmission sector, radiator for automobiles, etc. Copper is used in many applications. Now, talking about one of the most one by one, let me tell you, today we are surrounded. Aluminum or copper conductor brings electricity to your house, to the slums and huts and everywhere. So that's the water you get, drinking water to your house, steel pipes, galvanized steel pipes, appliances in your house, air conditioner, washing machine, name any one of them, pressure cooker or whatever, they're all made of metal, steel or aluminum or whatever. Similarly, if you look at the industry, automobile industry, whether the body of the car or the body of the bus or the scooters, two-wheelers, whatever, they're all made of steel. The auto components, many of them are made of non-ferrous castings, aluminum die castings, zinc die castings, then copper in other forms like conductivity, etc. are used copper. So everywhere you are using metals. When you have problems in your joints or orthopedic problems, the orthopedic surgeon talks about titanium inserts, stainless steel inserts into your body. Again, in healthcare sector also it's being used. So what I'm trying to tell all of you, the distinguished panelists, Chandekar Saab and the participants, metals have become indispensable. Today we're talking about new materials also, lithium-ion batteries. Nickel as another important material for electric vehicles, electric mobility. Cobalt is another one. And again, you talk about other applications, you'll be talking about many new materials, titanium for many defense applications, strategic applications, titanium alloys, etc. So what I'm saying is metals are used everywhere. And India, because of its sheer population, consistent GDP growth, forget about the last 20 minutes when the GDP went down. Now there is a turnaround, and we are now poised for a better future in the next few months. Again, we will be one of the fastest growing economies. 8.5% GDP, 7.5, 9% power, the young population, purchase power of the rural population, it's all increasing. You see more and more two-wheelers in rural areas. You see Maruti Alto in rural areas. So that shows all these are becoming very common. Mobile, again, it's a rural thing. Farmers are having, the rural population, they are having mobiles. People in Bihar talking to their son in Dubai through a mobile call. And mobile again, the body of the mobile or the case of the laptop, they are made of magnesium castings, magnesium, light metal. In future, auto components, they will all be made of magnesium because that is still lighter than aluminum. Earlier, we used to use zinc die castings. Being heavier, it gave way to aluminum die castings. Future is going to be magnesium die castings, maybe magnesium extracted from the seawater, magnesia, etc. So that's going to be the kind of trend, and materials are very, very essential. And I'm very happy that you are focusing your event on metallurgy and materials. And coming to each subject, steel, of course, our veteran Sharmaji will talk more about that. Talking about aluminum, zinc, lead, copper, etc., India has been investing huge investments in infrastructure, in power, telecom, highways, railways, Bharatmala, Sagarmala, Jal Jeevan. So many projects we have been talking about infrastructure, rural electrification is another one which I didn't talk about. So all these areas, they are really going to bring about a huge demand for non-ferrous metals, and that is the way it's going to be. Already Hindustan Zinc is the second largest zinc producer in the world, primary zinc producer. They got a mine in Rajasthan, Zawar, Dariba, that is one of the richest zinc deposit in the world, and they are going to become one of the largest zinc producers. Very soon, they will be reaching a capacity of 1.5 million tons of zinc. which includes some amount of lead also, about 200,000 tons or 2 lakh tons of lead. And they are known for that silver production of silver as a byproduct. Hindustan Zinc is more known as a silver company now. They are just producing so much of silver, and they are now trying to step up the byproduct recovery zinc. Talking about lead, again, let me tell you, my friends, lead is known for its toxic characteristic. That is one aspect, everyone knows that. Health hazards, hazards to environment. But let me tell you, 160 years ago, the lead batteries were invented. Gaston Plante invented that. And today, lead batteries have become an indispensable part of our activity. Your cars and scooters, tractors, coaches, all of them run with your lead acid batteries. At home, when the power goes off, you have an inverter backed by lead batteries. As soon as the power goes, immediately this comes into play. Your fan or lights are all on. And again, every house, offices, schools, banks, shops, malls, everywhere you have inverters now with again lead batteries. And again, your mobile connectivity you're talking about, signal that comes from the telecom tower. And below the telecom tower, next time when you go and see, there will be an air conditioned cabin where they will have about 15 or 20 lead acid batteries to give consistent power supply to the telecom tower so that you get signals continuously. Again, rail coaches, when you're traveling, first class AC or second AC, wherever you're traveling, just go down and see below your coach, there'll be a black box containing lead acid battery, which gives power to your coach, fan, etc. They are all operated by this kind of lead batteries uh, down below the coach. So I can tell you, e-rickshaws now flying all over the country because we want to bring down the pollution, urban transport pollution load. Now more and more electric vehicles, particularly e-rickshaws, have become very common in Delhi, Hyderabad, Calcutta, Bangladesh. If you go, you see plenty of e-rickshaws. Go to Nepal, you will see e-rickshaws. The good old auto rickshaws are all fading away. E-rickshaw is the new norm. And again, e-rickshaws are backed by lead acid battery. Maybe some will be used by lithium ion batteries also, but lithium ion battery is very expensive, safety problems, sparking, fire, etc. And lithium also, let me tell you, resource wise, only 3 countries in the world have lithium deposit. ABC triangle countries, Argentina, Bolivia, and Chile. Only those 3 countries are having lithium. Not many countries are having lithium. And then we have been depending on imported lithium ion batteries. From China, we were importing. You know what all happened during the last 20 months because of political problems. Imports have come down from China. Lithium is going to be a far cry. There is a big hype in India. There's a big hype in many countries. And then let me tell you, it's not easy to have lithium resource as a for the battery production, etc. So in sum and substance, let me tell you, Chandekar Saab and my distinguished panelists, materials are having a huge opportunity. Challenges are there, but then we will find solutions to them, and gradually we will all see that we will have more and more of materials usage. While talking about recycling, I should tell you, the whole world has been talking about recycling in a green manner, environment friendly recycling. Unfortunately, India is known for, very shameful to say, the informal sector, the backyard recycling. Environmental legislations are there, and then you have got all the state pollution control board, regulatory boards are there. But unfortunately, whether it is metal recycling, e-waste recycling, in India, we have a very significant percentage of informal backyard recycling. That should be phased out. We should have green recycling, which is helpful for the society, environment, population, those who are working there. So recycling has got a huge opportunity. We should see that everything under the sun, whether it is paper, plastic, metals, e-waste, electronic waste, electrical waste, municipal waste, hospital waste. Every one of them should be recycled in a green and sustained manner. That's all I would like to tell you, Chandekar Saab. I might have overshot my time. These are my remarks. I wish you good luck. And I'm going to be joining in between, depending on the various sessions. Recycling sector, I would certainly like to join. Steel
Yeah.
also. I was there in the steel industry, Nippon Dendro Ispat and Saima, etc. Sharma, you knows. And zinc is there in the steel industry in a big way as a coating material. So I will be joining. I'll be very pleased to hear Sharma ji and also Dr. Chattopadhyay. Thank you very much and good luck. And thanks very much for this opportunity, Chandekar Saab. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your insightful speech. And indeed, metallurgy in India has been a forte of Indian ancient culture, and we have very glaring examples like iron pillar in Delhi and zinc extraction technology and process know-how, which only Indians possessed in up till 16th century. Also, you may remember Damascus swords being Indian steel being used in Damascus swords. So all these examples show that metallurgy was very well developed in our country, and we have that metallurgical genes in our body. That's what I feel. Anyway, coming back to this show, I thank you very much, Mr. Pugazanti. And now I would request Dr. Chattopadhyay, with his long experience in refractory industry and steel industry as such, please share his views. Dr. Chattopadhyay.
Yeah, good morning to all, Mr. Chandekar and Dr. Sharma, Dr. Pugati. It was a proud privilege on my part to be a part with all of you this morning on Asian metallurgy. And as mentioned several times that Mr. Chandekar is a very glaring example and a very bright man in the industry, so that he brings on the table all of us together in virtual platform so that we can share our thoughts and our experiences time to time. So thank you very much for your effort again, Mr. Chandekar.
Welcome, sir.
And with all the participants, let me try to be brief in the inaugural session. Then, of course, I'll be always available in my emails. Let me talk about the raw material for the refractory, because it is very important that today, what happens that we are planning for making more and more steel. And if you are planning for making more and more steel, as already mentioned, that we want to reach to 300 million ton by 2030. But my tacit assumption is that even if we don't reach 300 million tons by 2030, but we must reach, and we will reach probably 250 million plus. And if that thing happens, then from the present level of 110 million, there's a jump of almost more than 1.5 times. And so we will be requiring a lot of refractory. And let me tell you, being a practitioner of refractory for last more than 4 decades, the situation in the refractory raw material is very, very grim. And I think National Steel Policy never mentions it, but through this forum, I must mention that National Steel Policy should include now how to combat the situation of refractory. Today, let me tell you the present situation immediately for next 2 minutes or so. 2 raw materials are essential. One is a bauxite, and derived of bauxite is a magnesite. And both these raw materials are available in India, but not to the extent usable by the industry. Magnesite, whatever is available, is not at all being used for making carbon brick, so-called for required for the steel melting shop. And steel melting shop is 100% dependent on today with products, all the 3 operations like ladle, electric arc furnace, converters, they run with magnesia carbon only. And this magnesia carbon uses fused magnesite and DVM. These 2 raw materials are not available at all in the country. So whatever we may speak of make in India, and we have to depend on the rest of the world for this valuable raw material. And more than today, 85% of the dependence of the whole world is on China, on magnesite. And China is called the magnesite world, magnesite of the whole world. And then some of the countries like Turkey, some of the countries like Russia, they have some, North Korea, they have some material, but again, North Korea is not accessible to us. So the question is that what is the solution? The solution is, at times it has come through national laboratory that we have to make the beneficiation of whatever magnesite is available. And it's not very difficult. Magnesite is having high silica. Now that silica has to be removed. There were processes available, and then people started working on bio-leaching and then many other processes, but it never came out and seen beyond the laboratory. I think government needs to step up through their research institute. Like I recently came to know that CGCRI is once again trying to reopen the chapter, and I'll be too glad to assist them in all possible ways. That is, I have already mentioned to them. Similar is the case with bauxite. Whatever bauxite is available in India is having a lot of high iron and a lot of lime. Both are detrimental. Both forms low-melting compounds, and they are not at all used in the good quality of brick making. Yes, you want to make some good products, you can make, but then all good quality materials will require a bauxite which is having very low iron and very low lime, and that is not possible. And that is again possible through beneficiation route. And here also, Steel Authorities R&D Center, in the past they worked for, but then all these attempts were very half-hearted attempts. They were not at all converted to a commercial process any time. I may sound very negative a little bit, but then in the morning I must tell through this forum that I'm pretty unhappy, and in all forums I go on telling about these two materials. Coming back to the other raw material scenario, that many of the synthetic materials, as it is available in our country also, like tabular alumina, fused alumina, which are produced from a lot of synthetic routes. But again, we have one material which is an excellent material, which is the sylvanite sand, and plenty available because of our rich beach resources. This is a beach sand. This material is available from beach sand. And then there has to be a process of making this into an aggregate, because it is available in a form which is below some size, below 0.05 millimeter. And with that size, it cannot be used by the industry plenty quantity. Now, some people have tried to make some aggregate out of this, but there has to be a full-fledged process where this can be converted to a good mullite, because this is very pure. This sylvanite sand is so pure that it can be converted to mullite very easily, and that mullite can be acting as a aggregate for making good quality raw material for blast furnace materials and many other castables, many other gunning materials. And so this is one thing to be pursued, that whatever sylvanite sand is available through Indian Rare Earth and other some private companies through some KMML. But again, the scarcity, the demand is much more than that of these people can supply. So maybe the extraction can be made more, and that is how the industry can be benefited. Coming back to recycling, this is a big issue, and Mr. Kovacheni was telling about recycling back-end. I also agree with him that back-end recycling is not the answer. The answer has to be with the proper green way of recycling. I can just tell you that I am associated with one company, as with my introduction, Mr. Chandekar mentioned that I'm doing consulting many people now. One of such companies is engaged in recycling of raw material. Anywhere, whenever a lining is going, 30-40% of the lining material which has got intact, the same material is there. Now, sometimes some liquid penetration have happened, sometimes some gas penetration have happened. So if I have a proper process and if I take out the material, and do a complete chemical analysis in a scientific way, and then adapt those oxides to be removed which are causing detrimental effect. So one such company is Global Recycling, where I am presently engaged and they are doing a genuine service to the industry. I must tell that because they are taking out these materials from different sources, starting from imported sources, and trying to uh, look into the thing to remove the impurities and remove the materials which are not to be associated with that. So giving an example just for the all people's benefit, that suppose I have a material where some chrome is there or some magnesium MgO is there, but there are huge alumina also is there. So I have to use that alumina only because these materials is having a very low iron. Now, there are processes available where I can suppress the MgO to come into reaction in the solid solution. There are processes where can be suppressed that I remove the other oxide. I don't allow them to come into the interface. So we are doing through those chemical background of chemical knowledge, we are just reprocessing the material and making it usable for the refractory industry. And that can be one of the big solution. And I'm happy to share with many of you, because the steel stalwarts are there, that many refractory raw materials are being replaced by the parent raw material and being successfully employed for using it in the same manner as it is being used in the original compositions. And that is how I think the industry should look forward for future. Coming back to these areas, whether it is recycling or whether making a synthetic raw material or beneficiation, there are very, very sporadic efforts. That's why I'm telling that, because the refractory industry itself is a small industry. Like, it is a 10,000 crore industry even today. Now, it's a 10,000 crore industry. One steel plant, small steel plant's turnover is much more than that. So what happens that steel plants, for their own benefit, have to come forward to really get their raw material in a proper usable manner. And that is where probably there is some kind of participation, a partnership kind of thing is required, because sometimes if the investment is 50 crore, 100 crore, many refractory people will not have the money to really invest. That is where the problem is lying, because my 4 decades experience tells that probably we have all good intention, but then there's no means, and that means has to be now, because we are going to produce more steel. Up till now, there was no embargo, but now we have heard that last 8-9 months, what is the situation with the Chinese? And Chinese are not producing enough fused magnesite, and that's how the materials where prices were $600 due to that fusion shortage and freight material, that raw material has come to $1,300. Now, Mr. Sharma will tell maybe his magnesium carbon bricks, which he used to purchase at $800 to $1,000 per ton. Today, he is purchasing at $1,800. And that is inevitable, because the raw material is just not available. So that's why it is important and imperative on our part through this forum to put enough pressure so that we can really come through government, through their policies, that how we can get to know how we benefit raw materials, and we can build the energy. And with this few words, I just want to thank all the concerned people, dignitaries, and the panelists, and all the members who are present and in this inaugural session. And once again, thanks, Mr. Chandekar, to give a platform to share my views and thoughts this morning. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Chattopadhyay. Indeed, refractory and other raw materials are very vital for the growth of the steel industry. And as you have rightly mentioned, if India has to reach 300 million tons by 2031, we have to have a huge support from the raw material section, and that Make in India effort should be intensified further, so that the raw materials are available to facilitate the growth of the seamless growth of steel industry. Now we move on to our last dignitary, Mr. V.R. Sharma. V.R. Sharma has been at the helm of affairs of Jindal Steel and Power for so many years as managing director. And I would say he's one of the very few steel veterans who are, participating in the industry, sharing his thoughts, influencing the industry, and I would say, in a way, guiding the industry to the future. Mr. V.R. Sharma, please.
Yeah, thank you. Good morning, Chandrakarji. Good morning, my friends, Mr. Pujanti and also Dr. Chattopadhyay. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a great occasion for me to speak to 10th Asian Metallurgy seminar or webinar. This is a great time. Country is passing through a very, very challenging time in terms of economy, in terms of coming out from COVID-19 situation. More and more elections are going to take place in times to come. So there is the political environment in the country is very hot. So during this time, the budget is going to come, and as per Mrs. Nirmala Sitharaman, the budget is going to be focused only on the infrastructure growth. Majority of the infra projects will be declared in the coming times. That means more and more steel, more and more cement, more and more refractory will be used in the country. By 2030, we have a target of reaching 300 million ton of steel. Today, we are at a level about 115 million ton of production, and the net gap is about 185 million tons. So the major steel producers, the five are in numbers in the country. They have a plan as per their business plan that they will reach together to 120 million ton. Today, we all produce about 56 million ton. And around 50 to 60 million ton will come from the secondary sector or the small mills. So total put together, maybe about 180 million ton. Finally, so another 120 million ton new facilities are required to be installed in the country. That means a lot, because if you had to put up 120 million ton of new plants, that means 12 plants of 10 million ton each, or maybe 24 plants of 5 million ton each. And if it is only 3 million, then we need 40 plants. So for that, we need a lot of infrastructure. We need ports, railway network, water management, right of ways, electrical transmission lines, and many more facilities are required to put up a greenfield project. So most of the existing players will continue in spending money on the brownfield projects, which is easier and which is also in times to come to doubling their capacities. So today, this is the situation in the country, but all these figures, 300 million ton, more number of plants, more greenfield projects, that means a lot of load on the environment. So it is our responsibility, as requested by Government of India and as per the declaration of our Honorable Prime Minister in G20 summit, that by 2070 India wants to reach to a net zero emission country. So net zero emission means we have to work a lot. Today, primarily we are a coal-based economy. Sometimes people feel that coal is very, very detrimental. Yes, I agree. Coal is detrimental if it is burned into or it is used into open furnaces or in the boilers to produce power. But there are environmental friendly uses of coal in the world, which is available in the form of gasification. I think if we do that, then we control CO2 emission in a great way. Just for the knowledge of everyone, standalone blast furnace coupled with a coke oven plant and sinter plant produces about 2.4 ton to 2.6 ton of CO2 per ton of crude steel. If we take it through a different route like coal to syngas to DRI to electric arc furnace, even if the electric arc furnace is not powered by a green energy and is powered by thermal power plants, then we reduce it down very significantly to a level about 1.8 ton per ton of steel making. And if we produce electricity through syngas to combined cycle power plants, and electric arc furnace is fed through the electricity produced or generated through combined cycle power plants based on coal gas or synthesis gas. Then the CO2 generation comes to at a level of 1.5 ton per ton of steel making. And if it is a green energy, I mean from hydrogen to electricity or hydrogen or solar energy, then the level comes significantly below. That is about 1.3 or maybe 1.2 ton per ton of CO2 generation, whereas the DRI is considered to be produced from natural gas or from syngas. So the syngas is a future in times to come. I think India has more than 350 billion ton of coal, and all of us, we have to struggle. We have to work together as to how to produce more and more synthesis gas from coal gasification units. So coal gasification, primarily there are three methods. One is coal bed methane, that is CBM. Couple of investors came into India. One of them has already installed the facilities. They are taking out CBM, that is coal bed methane. The other is above the surface coal gasification that many of the people are doing. JSPL, Jindal Steel, has put up the world's largest plant for a steel mill to produce 225,000 Nm³ per hour of syngas, and then finally taking it to the DRI, making vertical shaft kiln and making DRI out of the syngas as a reductant, and taking hot DRI into electric arc furnaces, and reducing the electricity consumption from 550 kilowatt hour per ton to 280 kilowatt hour or 270 kilowatt hour per ton, just half. So 50% reduction in the energy cost. And if we continue like this, then in times to come, coal to liquids, coal to methane, coal to liquid hydrogen, coal to nitrogen, coal to ammonia, coal to urea, coal to PVC and plastics, olefins, coal to diesel, coal to petrol, benzene, naphtha. These are the products which can be produced in India through coal. That means we can be self-reliant 100%. We don't need to import any crude. But it is unlikely that we'll stop importing crude, because a lot of facilities for the crude refining has been installed in the country, which is more than 250 million ton. So, but the refineries which are phasing out, they can definitely adopt the coal gasification technology to produce all those petroleum products which are required by mankind in the world. And that will use the Indian high-ash coal, and we can make value of this particular high-ash coal. Otherwise, after 2070, all this coal will not be used, and this will be lying buried under the ground, and we'll keep on finding that yes, coal is burning below the belt, and finally the coal, the environment or the CO2 is still coming when it burns, like it is happening in many of the cities in the country. In Bihar, that coal is burning, and then finally the CO2 is definitely going to affect the climate, and the climate, the very purpose of controlling the climate will not be met out. So recycling, rightly said by Mr. Chattopadhyay ji, that recycling is part of life, be it refractory or be it metal scrap. So today, yes, refractory, he has already spoken on the metal scrap. Now Government of India has come with the scrappage policy, where government has allowed and giving some incentives for the scrapping of vehicles, automobiles, refrigerators, washing machines, white goods appliances, or the brown goods appliances. So this is a very big business which is likely to come. India imports about 7 million ton of scrap on year-on-year basis, but our consumption can be 25 million ton. Worldwide today, the scrap available is about 400 million ton. In times to come, this is going to reach to 650 million ton. So this 400 million ton and 650 million ton amounts to about 30% of the total steel production, which is likely to be about 1.8 billion ton in the year. So now this 650 or 700 million ton, whatever is going to come in next one decade, Out of that, India has a potential to produce about 15 to 20 million ton of scrap. And this 15 to 20 million ton scrap can be used by the Indian industry, either through the induction furnaces or arc furnaces, or finally find a way to reach to the BOF shops. But the recycling is a must in the world, and recycling plays a very, very vital role for the total ecosystem. If we, through recycling process, we produce steel, then the total CO2 generation will be less than 1 ton of CO2 per ton of making steel. And in that case, the electricity has to be through the solar energy. If we have the solar energy electricity, and we also have the recycled material, that is a circular economy, that is through scrap, then we can bring it down to less than 0.8 ton of CO2 per ton of making steel. And we make India as net zero emission country in the world by 2070. So that's the plan. I think policymakers are already working on it. The next big thing is the transportation of electricity. Today, most of our thermal power plant, they are installed in different states. We transport coal from the coal-bearing states, that is in eastern part of the country, to rest of the country. I mean, taking coal from Chhattisgarh to Tamil Nadu or Kerala, or bringing it to upside in Punjab or in Rajasthan is a very, very tedious exercise. So we are requesting to Government of India through various forms that all of the future power plants should be based on syngas, and they should be pithead at the coal-bearing zones, so that the coal into that means syngas, synthesis gas, which has 60% hydrogen and 28 to 29% of CO. That gas should be used in a combined cycle power plant, IGCC, so integrated gas-based combined cycle plants, where the efficiency of the plants will increase from existing Rankine cycle, which is thermal power plant through boilers, is just only 30% to 32%. And through the combined cycle power plants, the efficiency level is likely to increase to 58%. So there'll be net increase of about 26 to 28% in the efficiency of power plants. That means we can bring down the cost of electricity, one. Number two, we can bring down the total emission. And number three, the overall CO2, because 1% reduction in 1% increase in the efficiency of the power plants will reduce 2% of the CO2 generation. So you can imagine that thousands and lakhs of tons of CO2 will be reduced immediately the moment we convert all of our thermal power plants into integrated gas-based power plants, and gas to be made from coal, that is coal gas or synthesis gas. So these are the areas where we should ponder upon. The next point is country should now enter into one country, one tariff policy. One country, one tariff means Kashmir to Kanyakumari, Guwahati to Gandhidham. The tariff should be one, so that there is a holistic growth in MSMEs across the country. Today, most of the MSMEs, they want to put up their plants in Eastern India, but unfortunately, they don't have market there. So for market, they have to bring the products to rest of the country, be it south, be it north, or be it west. So these are the areas where we have to ponder upon. If we have to have a Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas, as the slogan given by the Prime Minister. That means we have to make power at one tariff. It is maybe 3 rupees or 5 rupees, that does not matter, but that gives level playing field across country, so that we have one power tariff across the country. Many countries in the world, they have one power tariff. China has 2 power tariff, but the difference in one power tariff and the another power tariff is only just 0.25 cents. So 4 cents and 4.25 cents. France, Germany, UK, they have one tariff. Switzerland, Austria has one tariff. America has one tariff. Argentina, Bolivia, and Brazil, they have one tariff. South Africa has one tariff. Australia has one tariff. So we should also work on those lines, that we should have one tariff, so that you can install the factories, MSMEs, large or medium scale companies at any location in the country, and electricity is not treated as a preferred destination or preferred way or preferred point to put up a plant somewhere, because most of the plants which are installed in eastern part of the country, they sell their goods to northwest, south, and also in the Far East. So that is a very important area. So when we do the recycling of scrap today, like the scrap availability in the country is geographically 20% scrap is available in southern India, 35% scrap is available in western India, that is Bombay, Pune area, and another 35% available in eastern area, north area, that is Delhi and NCR area, and also up to Punjab and Rajasthan. Balance 10% scrap is available in the central part of the country and the rest of the country. So if you have 25, 35, 35, that kind of figures, that means if we doing this scrappage policy, implementing there and processing scrap, and then all the way you transport this scrap to the eastern belt of the country where the steel is going to be melted. So that means it's a huge cost. That will cost us about 3,000 rupees to 4,000 rupees a ton. Why this is to be transported? Because the cost of electricity in Tamil Nadu, cost of electricity in Maharashtra, cost of electricity in northern part of the country is ranging from 10 rupees per unit to 18 rupees per unit at times. So with 10 rupees per unit to 18 rupees per unit as against of 3 rupees 50 paisa per unit, the electric arc furnaces will not be successful in this part of the world because the cost of electricity is very high. When you have to use about 700 kilowatt hour per ton, including rolling cost and melting cost, that means the 5 rupees of delta on an average is going to play a very huge difference, that is 3,500 rupees to 4,000 rupees a ton, and the steel will not be sellable if we don't have one tariff, one country policy. So the next point here, I would like to highlight that digitization. Yes, digitalization is going to be a great journey in our life. We have already experienced elementary level of digitalization when we speak to people, we do the meeting, we do the conferences, we share the data. We share the data through data system. We store our documents, documentation, drawings through digitalization. So that is a very small part of that. The bigger part is the next bigger part is how to transform or how to transfer the technology through digits. That is another area. So I think in times to come, we'll be in a position to achieve all those figures, the costing parameters, how to maintain the inventory, how to consider the all India as one company. And then, like, for example, refractory, bearings, consumables, oils, lubricants, or any critical items we stock at one particular place, and the entire industry has access to that particular store, and we buy or we bring all those common parts from that location. So then we feel that at least $5 to $6 billion of inventory can be reduced in the country. So when $5 to $6 billion of inventory, especially for the heavy engineering industry, steel industry, aluminum and metal industry, that can be reduced, that means a great amount of dead capital, or I would say the fixed capital, is reduced. So there is a big potential that we can have a very good supply chain through digitalization. We can have a very good supply. We can transfer the technology through digitalization. We can control the cost. We can control the overheads through digitalization. Apart from selling goods through digital technology, that is very common nowadays. And Amazon has taught us how to utilize the digitalization in a much better way. The banking system has already taught us that due to digitalization, today we are in a position to operate our bank account anywhere in the world. We can take out money, we can deposit money anywhere in the world through our card system. We can do whatever transactions we want to do through digitalization. There are no more footfall in the banks for general work. Even you can do your investments through digital, through portal. You can make fixed deposits, you can break fixed deposits, you can ask somebody that, okay, the money should come into your bank finally to ATM, and then you can deposit money into ATM, you can withdraw money from ATM. So this is a great facility today we are seeing, and many of the hard cash or hard currency transactions are over nowadays. So there are immense advantages of such a move. And India being in forefront of automation, India in the forefront of IT sector, I think we can do it much faster than the rest of the world can do. Yes, there are so many inventions people are doing in the world. Implementer can be Indians, and those implementers can definitely implement something good for the nation. So these are major points what I wanted to touch today. So one, digitalization, I just told you. The other is how to control the inventories. Number three is, just to summarize, number three is the scrappage policy, but how to utilize it very effectively. We can utilize it very effectively if we have one nation, one tariff policy. Similarly, the free flow of electricity from one grid to another grid. Once we have the one tariff, one country policy, that means if you are putting a hydrogen plant in the west part of the country or the solar plant in the west part of the country, you can transport power anywhere in the country at the same price, same cost. We have to upgrade our electrical transmission system from 230 kV and 430 kV to a level of about 750 or maybe 1250 kV. So the right of way is not required. The new right of way is not required. Wherever the transmission lines of 230 kV are going on the same same way, we can take out the new lines of 750 kV or 1250 kV. That means the transmission will be faster and the transmission loss will be less. We should think for HVDC lines, high voltage DC lines for the transmission towers, and that will also save a lot of energy and line losses. So these are the areas, apart from development in ports, development of railways, network, water management, and we should also finally think how to make zero discharge to the sea of rainwater. Rainwater means God has blessed us with very heavy rains. God has also blessed us with a very high coastal area, more than 7,000 kilometers. But 97% of the rainwater on the coastal area goes back to the sea. And more than 60% of the country's average rain that goes back to the sea. So sometimes people say that the Third World War will come on water, but this is not the case. Here, the water has to be managed properly. Water has to be stored properly. The preserve, reserve, and conserve policy has to be implemented in the country. And we should see that not even a drop of water goes back to the sea. Sea does not need the clean water. Sea gives us water. But sea does not expect that the clean water should go back to sea. So the monsoon, what we are seeing today, we become so panicked, and that then everybody, they open the gate, they make the trenches and nalas, and that goes back to the sea. This is unfortunate. God is so kind. God is giving us a lot of rain from 1,000 mm to 1,400 mm in a particular tropical area, but more than 60% of the rainwater goes back to the sea. We have to see that all our rivers, they become they become suitable to be utilized as transportation friendly. That means we should run boats into all of the rivers. So we have to learn from Seine River and Rhine River in Germany and Europe what they are doing. Their river bed is just 4 to 4.5 meter depth, and they maintain that particular bed 12 months in a year. And wherever they feel that they have to pump it in the water level so that they can lift the vessels at different terrain. So they have made more than 17 lift barrages in the rivers in the Europe, and they are transporting goods through their barges. So all of the rivers should be in a position to transport small boats or the medium-sized boats or the barges up to 5,000 ton, and then we can find from Ganga Sagar to Dehradun, or at least to Haridwar, we can see the boats coming. We can see the boats coming into Yamuna. Yamuna will not be used as a nala. Today we are just discharging the dirty water into nala. So the Dredging Corporation of India and the River Corporation of India will have to work much faster in these particular areas. So the government of India will look into it, and one day we will be working on the waterways as to how the Waterways Authority works on. There is a waterway authority, they had office in Noida. Many times we have discussed with them at how to make all rivers enable to transport goods from one location to another location. So thank you so much. Thank you very much for listening me. Wish you all the best for this particular session. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sharma. The points raised by Mr. Sharma are so relevant that they can easily form manifesto of the industry. Like, the water management, digitalization, power management, and raw material management, of course, and ultimately achieving target of going towards 300 million tons by 2030-31. All these points are very relevant, and this brings to the end of the inauguration session. And I thank all the dignitaries, Mr. L. Pugazanti, Ms. Dr. Chattopadhyay, and Mr. V.R. Sharma for sparing their time, sparing this precious time, and being with us for this inauguration function. Let us all wish this event and the expo, Steel and Metal Expo, as well as the different seminars which we are planning. I would again like to mention that every day from 11 to 12:30 we are planning panel discussions on various subjects. Tomorrow will be on steel, day after tomorrow will be on aluminum, the day after on Wednesday it will be on aluminum, on Thursday it will be on recycling, and Friday it will be on digitalization. So these 4 days we are having different seminars on different subjects. And I again thank all the dignitaries and the viewers which we are having for this inauguration function. And let's now wish all the best for this Steel and Metal Expo and 10th Asian Metallurgy. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chandekar Saab. Thank you, Sharma ji. Thank you, Dr. Chattopadhyay ji. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Bye bye. See you soon. See you soon. Bye bye. Thank you. Bye.